In a recent cabinet meeting, President Donald Trump signed a proclamation officially declaring the second Monday in October as Columbus Day, reigniting a national debate that has simmered for years. The move was both highly publicized and deeply symbolic, drawing immediate attention from supporters and critics alike. With a flourish, he called out, "We're back, Italians," framing the move as a stand against what he described as efforts to erase history. Trump emphasized the importance of honoring the contributions of Italian Americans and preserving what he called the nation's true heritage. Trump's proclamation called Columbus the original American hero and promised an end to what he saw as revisionist attacks on tradition. He argued that celebrating Columbus was about recognizing the spirit of exploration and the founding of the nation. While the gesture was largely symbolic, Columbus Day has been a federal holiday since 1934. It sent a clear message about which version of history he supports. The proclamation echoed past presidential declarations, but in today's climate, it carried new weight. The announcement was a direct rejection of the growing movement to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, a holiday that seeks to honor Native American history and culture instead of Columbus. Supporters hailed it as a defense of tradition and national pride, seeing the proclamation as a way to push back against what they view as a rewriting of American history. Meanwhile, critics saw it as a refusal to acknowledge a more complex and painful past, arguing that honoring Columbus ignores the suffering of Indigenous peoples. On social media, Trump cast himself as the defender of a cherished tradition under attack, rallying his base and sparking heated online debates that quickly spread across the country. For many, this was about more than a holiday. It was about the very foundations of the American story, and who gets to decide which parts of history are celebrated or condemned. In a single pen stroke, the culture war over our national identity was reignited, leaving Americans once again divided over how to remember their past and shape their future. To understand the passion around Columbus Day, we have to look back at the complex history that shaped it. This holiday, now a fixture in American life, has roots that go much deeper than most people realize. We need to revisit its origins, which are tied to both national identity and the struggles of immigrant communities seeking a place in America. In the late 1800s, Italian immigrants faced harsh discrimination and violence, most notably the 1891 lynching of 11 Italians in New Orleans. This event shocked the nation and highlighted the deep prejudice against Italians, who were often seen as outsiders and treated with suspicion. Seeking acceptance, Italian Americans embraced Columbus, a fellow Italian, as a symbol of belonging in America. By celebrating his achievements, they hoped to show their loyalty and contributions to their new country. President Benjamin Harrison proclaimed the first Columbus Day in 1892, partly as a gesture of goodwill after the lynchings. The holiday was meant to heal wounds and promote unity, while also honoring the spirit of exploration. The holiday grew, championed by groups like the Knights of Columbus, as a pushback against anti-immigrant and anti-Catholic sentiment. These organizations saw Columbus as a figure who could unite Americans of different backgrounds. Columbus became a symbol of courage and the pioneering spirit, helping Italian Americans claim their place in the American story. Parades and celebrations became a way to express pride and resilience. In 1934, President Franklin D. Roosevelt made Columbus Day a federal holiday, marking a moment of pride for Italian Americans. It was a recognition of their journey and their role in shaping the nation. The holiday became a celebration of heritage, family, and successful integration. It was a day to honor ancestors and the sacrifices they made for future generations. For many, Columbus Day has always been about more than one man. It's about the journey to becoming American. It's about the hope, determination, and dreams that immigrants brought with them. This context is crucial to understanding why the holiday still matters to so many. It's a reminder of the struggles faced and the progress made by generations of immigrants. It's a story of struggle, identity, and the search for acceptance, a story that continues to resonate in the hearts of families across the country. For many Italian Americans, Columbus Day is deeply personal, a symbol of their ancestors' resilience and hard-won place in America. Criticism of Columbus often feels like an attack on their heritage and family history. Organizations like the National Italian American Foundation see defending the holiday as defending their community's legacy. They argue that focusing only on Columbus's flaws ignores his role as a daring explorer and the positive meaning he holds for their community. Parades in cities like New York and Chicago are vibrant celebrations of Italian culture and pride. For participants, these events honor the sacrifices of their ancestors and affirm their identity. Columbus, to them, represents the spirit of exploration and the enduring link between Italy and America. The movement to abolish Columbus Day, they feel, overlooks the holiday's positive significance for generations of Italian Americans. Their voices remind us that this debate is about more than history. It's about identity and belonging. But there's another side to Columbus's story, one marked by violence and suffering for indigenous peoples. Columbus's arrival in the Americas led to enslavement, brutality, and the decimation of native populations through violence and disease. His own journals describe the exploitation of the Taino people, including forced tribute and horrific punishments. The impact was catastrophic. Diseases brought by Europeans wiped out up to 90% of indigenous populations. Even by the standards of his time, Columbus's rule was considered excessively cruel. He was arrested and stripped of his governorship by the Spanish crown. Critics argue that celebrating Columbus is celebrating the painful beginnings of colonialism and genocide. This history, long omitted from textbooks, is now central to the debate. For many, Columbus is not a hero, but a symbol of oppression. The call to reconsider the holiday is rooted in a demand for historical honesty. It's a reckoning with the true cost of discovery. In response to this painful legacy, the movement for Indigenous Peoples Day has grown. The goal is to honor the cultures, resilience, and contributions of Native Americans, shifting the focus from colonizer to the colonized. The idea first emerged at a 1977 United Nations conference, gaining momentum through grassroots activism. In 2021, President Joe Biden became the first U.S. president to formally recognize Indigenous Peoples Day alongside Columbus Day. This dual recognition marked a historic shift, encouraging more states and cities to adopt the new holiday. Indigenous Peoples Day is now celebrated with powwows, educational events, and community gatherings. For Native people, it's a day to be seen and celebrated on their own terms. The movement represents a conscious effort to tell a fuller, more inclusive American story. It's a day of pride, remembrance, and hope for justice. The debate over Columbus Day versus Indigenous Peoples Day is playing out across the country, with no national consensus. As of 2023, only about 16 states and one territory still recognize Columbus Day as a paid public holiday. Most states have either dropped the holiday or renamed it, with places like Maine and New Mexico officially adopting Indigenous Peoples Day. Local governments have been the real drivers of change. Over 200 cities have made the switch. These decisions reflect community values and often spark heated debates and protests. The shift is significant, but attachment to Columbus Day remains strong in many areas. The holiday debate is a microcosm of the larger national struggle over history and identity. For many Native Americans, Columbus Day is a painful reminder of colonization, genocide, and cultural erasure. The arrival of Columbus marked the beginning of centuries of hardship, forced assimilation, and the loss of ancestral homelands for indigenous peoples across the Americas. The holiday feels like a celebration of the devastation of their ancestors and the theft of their lands. For many, it's a day that reopens old wounds, highlighting the suffering and injustice that Native communities have endured for generations. Native voices describe a sense of invisibility. Columbus Day perpetuates the myth of an empty continent and ignores their rich histories. The stories, achievements, and contributions of indigenous peoples are too often left out of mainstream narratives and school curriculums. The call for Indigenous Peoples Day is a demand to be seen and acknowledged as fundamental to the American story. It's a movement to reclaim history and to honor the resilience and dignity of Native nations. The trauma is not just historical. Native communities still face the consequences of colonization today. Issues like poverty, loss of language, and struggles for sovereignty continue to impact daily life. Celebrating Columbus feels like a dismissal of their ongoing struggles. It can seem as if the pain and challenges Native people face are being ignored or minimized by the wider society. Yet the movement for Indigenous Peoples Day is also a testament to resilience and survival. It's a celebration of cultural pride, unity, and the enduring spirit of Native communities. It's a declaration that native cultures endure, languages are being revitalized, and voices are growing stronger. Across the country, Indigenous youth are reclaiming their heritage and shaping a future rooted in tradition and hope. The day is an opportunity for all Americans to honor that resilience and learn from the continent's first peoples. It invites everyone to listen, reflect, and build a more inclusive future together. It's about pride, power, and presence, a recognition that Native Americans are not just part of the past, but vital to the present and future of this land. This debate is about more than a holiday. It's about the symbols we choose and what they say about us. Columbus statues have become flashpoints, seen by some as monuments to heritage and by others as symbols of oppression. The 2020 racial justice protests brought this conflict to the forefront, with statues toppled or removed in dozens of cities. Each removal sparked fierce debate. Is it erasing history or correcting it? President Trump's proclamation is the latest move in this symbolic battle, aiming to restore a controversial icon. These symbols, statues or holidays, are powerful tools in the fight over national identity. They shape how we remember and who gets to be remembered. We stand at a crossroads, facing two powerful stories, Columbus the hero and Columbus the colonizer. Both are part of our history, and true understanding means holding them together. We can't have honest conversations if we ignore the painful parts of our past. This isn't about choosing sides. It's about being informed, compassionate, and open to complexity. Our schools should teach a fuller history, honoring both Italian-American struggles and Indigenous suffering. These truths don't cancel each other out. Understanding both is essential. Moving forward requires empathy and a willingness to listen to different perspectives. Whether we celebrate Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, or both, let's use the day to learn and reflect. Only by facing our shared past can we build a more just and united future. That's the real work ahead for all of us.